we used to have, again, why do I always blank in the name of this? The law that Reagan repealed about truth in media. Why do I always blank in the name of this? Why do I always forget? The fairness doctrine, yeah. We used to have laws like this. We used to be better about this. It's not even like some crazy Stalinist purge or whatever. We're just talking about like very, very, very basic like media standards. And we can't even adhere to that. But the only way to follow through on something like this at this point would be to engage in behavior that most people would consider dictatorial. And that's just true. I'm sorry. Like you can get sad about it, and it is very saddening, but it's also just like the case. We have 100 million people in this country who are fed day in, day out insane racist propaganda that is pumped down their throats from the bourgeoisie. Like democracy cannot survive this. It is not possible. It's we are literally fighting against a media campaign which is being pushed by the wealthiest and most unified bloc of bourgeois interests that has ever existed in human history. There has never been so much wealth so concentrated, so directly targeted against like democratic interests. The divide has never been this great, ever. Not in all of human history. There has never been this much of a wall between the lives of the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. And likewise, the media game they play has never been this exaggerated. It's never been this distinct. About that, why does that money get pumped into clear and obvious Nazis? It's not like it's popular. It is popular. The stuff they say is popular. The stuff Nazis say is popular. Are we not seeing that right now? Because the old billionaires are hyper-racist? No, no, no. You don't understand. It's not about the billionaires being racist. It's not even about the billionaires. It's about capital as a social class having a set of interests that they want to defend. And for them to defend those interests in a democracy, which America is, at least for now, they need people to vote for things, or for politicians who advocate for things that are in their interests. The average person who is struggling to pay rent and groceries is not going to knowingly and willingly advocate for an economic program that is to their detriment. So, in order to convince a great many people to vote for those business interests, you need to make people anxious and fearful about other cultural or social issues, demographic issues, to get them to, you give them the candy with the medicine, you know? This is the American experiment. No, it happens everywhere in a democracy. Even in non-democracies like China, they still employ elements of this. Yeah, Murdoch's been doing this for ages. It's not new. They were doing this 100 years ago. They were doing this 200 years ago. It's not new at all. But the dynamic is more pronounced now than it used to be. I can't believe Murdoch is the reason so many people don't believe in climate change. Yeah, it's not like Murdoch doesn't believe in climate change. Rupert Murdoch and the other billionaires know climate change is happening. Look what happened with Elon Musk. Elon Musk used to talk all the time about how his electric vehicles from Tesla were better for the environment. We need to be concerned about that because the environment's important. Now that he's a right-winger, he's interviewing Trump and he's saying stuff like, oh, well, green energy can wait. And, I'm not like those leftists who's trying to be like mean to oil and gas companies. I don't want to be rude to them or anything, but, like, it's just class interest. That's it. It's not about what people believe or don't believe. To be fair, Elon is stupid enough to actually change his mind on climate change. Yeah, that is true. Elon himself, Elon specifically might be stupid enough that he actually just had his mind changed. That is true. I think it's more likely he just doesn't care because he'll be okay. People don't like to think they're evil. They usually have a way of justifying their behavior to themselves. 5 minutes into Vaush and he starts talking about dictatorial power to maintain democracy against the right. I mean, it's really about what you value and what you care about. Like, if you just want the entire world to fall into ruin because Nazis, they made it legal for Nazis to take over. Oh, sorry, your liberal democracy has a loophole. It's actually legal for evil Hitlerites to take control of it. And once they do, it's all over for you. If you go even slightly outside the bourgeois democracy norm for dealing with them, even like even the most basic legislative action to protect democracy from the worst humans alive, that makes you the real Hitler. Yeah, we know, and we don't care. There's no point in even engaging in the discourse. Really. For one, you're completely correct, Odd Spectre. Do anything to stop Nazis from taking control of a democracy is by definition a pro-democracy action. And for two, you are, you're like ultimately conceding the framework to the idea, like any action taken to suppress people or suppress certain types of speech, something we already do and something we already accept broadly, by the way. Shouting fire in a theater, death threats, libel, slander, we already have standards for suppressing speech. All of those are fine as long as they're used in a civic, politically neutral context. But oh, saving democracy, saving the world, oh no, surely those things aren't important enough to even consider the possibility that the 100 million people being led astray by a very consolidated, very tightly controlled group of paid liars, you know, you're getting ridiculous with it, okay? You're being silly. You're getting silly with it. Why aren't there massive libel suits going on against Republican politicians? It's very difficult to sue people, to sue public figures for slander or libel, especially if they're talking about, like, general behavior. Also, those legal cases take years to pan out. They're very expensive. Hey, Vaush, can you denounce the accelerationist left? No, but I'll denounce you. What are you talking? Can you denounce? What am I, your fucking lapdog? Hey, can you, like, interrupt what you're saying to interject this unrelated opinion so I can assuage my insecure belief in something? Like, can you, like, reaffirm it even though you have content where you've talked about it? I think people who disagree in thinking in the abstract are not considering the practicality. Like, do you think media empires like Fox News can just magically hide their deliberate attempts to lie? I mean, stuff like this comes out in the trials, right? If you got, like, Jesse Waters on trial and the prosecutors had to prove their case that he was, like, deliberately lying in order to foment, like, a pogrom or insurrection or whatever, they could just provide, like, 50 trillion points of evidence, you know? You don't have to, like, it's not like you snap your fingers and everyone gets sorted in jail or not jail depending on some interpretation of, like, a 2-sentence law. It all gets played out in the court system the way everything else works, you know? It would be like saying, huh, it seems kind of bad that we don't have any laws against killing people. I think we should have a law against killing people. And someone is like, whoa, hold it! What if the killing is an accident? Or what if there are circumstances that mitigate the degree of culpability? Or what if it was in defense? Or what? And you can be like, yeah, well, obviously stuff like that would be sorted out in the trial. That's the point of a trial. You have trials. That's the point. That's how you figure out whether a person's guilty, with trials, you know? No, that sounds too complicated. I think we should avoid having any laws against killing altogether. I feel like there could be really bad consequences to that. If you misinterpreted that, you know, the negative, the downsides to that could be very bad, very deleterious. Very deleterious. Quite a kerfuffle. It does remind me of how the far right, like Westoid Tanky accounts were whining about Zelensky banning opposition parties in Ukraine, and then it turns out the opposition parties that he banned were like Heil Hitler, We Love Russia, the Ukrainian party, you know? Should the Secretary of War order 2 anti-Lincoln newspapers to close after publishing fake proclamations that make the administration look bad? This might be a hot take, but I think that I think they should have done a lot worse than close those anti-Lincoln newspapers in 1960 or 1864, you know? Now, this might be a hot take, but, you know, whatever mistreatment the South suffered and Southern sympathizers suffered at the hands of the Union, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. Not even close. I think too many newspapers are anti-Lincoln today. I don't know if you guys missed it, but being anti-Lincoln is basically the default position of the Republican Party. Yet they claim to love him anyway. They only do in the most, like, artificial of praise. There is so much Confederate apologia. They only praise Lincoln if they say, well, we're the party of Lincoln. You know, that's it. Like, you know, like, well, we're the party that ended slavery, but they don't care, right? Like, it's insincere. They are very pro-Confederate.